My rich child liaison recently died after drowning in her own foot spa. Apparently there were signs of a struggle, so I can only imagine she fell face down and began thrashing about before passing away due to being unable to lift her head the few inches needed to breathe air. When the police asked me if she had any enemies, I simply said that was utterly impossible and they should physically throw the case out, because there's literally no way there could be any sort of foul play in her death, and frankly it's insulting to her memory to even consider it. My uncle, Professor Evil, began open mouth laughing while throwing his head back, his hands partially clenched in what I can only assume was a gesture of absolute agreement. Anyway, the will was curiously written. I was offered the choice between an inheritance up to $1 million or a single mystery box approximately the size of a hardback book. Naturally, I jumped at the latter. Inside the box was a map of the 313 with an X marked on it. It was a treasure map and I was about to strike gold. Sadly, I'm completely unable to read maps. It's usually fine. Normally, I utilize my Holly train home and pigeon Bertha to guide me where I need to go. Unfortunately, Bertha and I were not on the best of terms on account of my recently trying to crush her to death. So I decided to utilize my bitches to get the job done. My bitches are, of course, the 9-year-old female Labradors and are very enthusiastic when we go out for walks. I love them. As I understand it, dogs are excellent at tracking, so I immediately knew they'd be able to lead me directly to the treasure. I showed them the map, and after a quick sniff, they were off. Without question, I let my dogs lead me as we won our way through the pristine streets of the 313 toward our inevitable destination of the treasure. Took us a little while, in part because my thoughts turned to the general rules of my life. My difficulty securing a stable job and finding a decent house. Honestly, I was a little sad. There's also the fact I don't pull bitches, mostly on account of the fact that talking of the caller might have their necks, and we can't have that. Therefore, when they stop to sniff something, wait around until they're ready to move on. Honestly, even if all that comes out of this is a pleasant afternoon with my Labradors, I'm happy. However, when we get there, the sight is terrifying. Somehow, Bigfoot has returned. To clarify, not the cryptozoological creature of a bipedal ape with human-like intelligence. That'd be ridiculous. The Bigfoot isn't dead. I'm talking about Bigfoot, the former local kingpin who I killed to try and win the approval of my mother. Apparently, he's been able to pull his game back together because a group of his toughs are positioned not far from where the Labradors were trying to take me. This is very bad news. My mother finds out he's still alive. She'll be very disappointed in me. Well, or very disappointed in me. Thankfully, my Labradors are very well trained and are able to instantly understand the situation, which is why they decided to take such a circuitous route to the location of the treasure by walking through the tree line instead of through the park. They realized I'd be in a better position to spot Bigfoot and his man. There's 5 guys in all, each packing a firearm, and I'm honestly tempted just to leave. 5 against 1 is unfair. That's when one of my Labradors makes a slight bark. I understand that if I flee now, my mother will never respect me, but most crucially of all, my Labradors won't get to dig up the treasure mine left for me. There's only one thing to do. I pull my knitting needles from my knitting pockets and chart. Obviously, I went there instantaneously because, as I mentioned, only 5 guys, each armed with a firearm against me is unfair. Wielding my knitting needles like sharp batons and utilizing the special knitting techniques only the snitters know. I incapacitate each of my would-be assailant. Before he goes down, I speak with how we hear about my own town. I had to know how he knew about the map and the fact I was coming here today. Sidebar, you all thought my uncle had been the one to arrange it all right. My uncle just has a condition where he gives an evil laugh whenever he's nervous or if he feels a strong sense of agreement. It's honestly sad that people are so judgmental about it, and he can't help his name. Believe it or not, his husband was very insistent that he change his name to Evil instead of adopting my uncle's name because apparently he has some brain thing going on. Anyway, Bigfoot babbles some nonsense about how the authorities consider me a public embarrassment, blind even at a Pearl Harbor, and that the president personally called for my liquidation. Apparently uploading all of my explodes on YouTube while presenting myself as the average American has had incredibly negative effects on the perception of America in the global community. I didn't really understand any of it. I just knew his tone was hurtful, so I threw him away as far as I could. Finally, there's the matter of the treasure, the Labradors, and I begin digging. We find some boxes of Milwaukee's best and a crate full of dog toes. Today was a good day.